So I got this thing, it's called the Mega SD. It's from Terra, and spoiler, it's pretty f***ing awesome. What, you thought this was going to be a professional review? Hey, we're going to take a look at this thing and talk about it. Mega SD, up next. It's funny because a month or so ago I was talking about 2019 being the year of the Genesis, and here we are again with yet another product for fans of Sega's 16-bit console. So quickly, let's kind of get what this is out of the way since some people may not be aware. This is for the most part a flash cart similar to an EverDrive. Copy ROMs onto a micro SD card, pop that into the flash cart, and you can then play those games as though they were an original cartridge on original Sega Genesis hardware. Or in my case, not quite original, but Analog's Mega SG. So we already have the Mega EverDrive. What's the big deal with the Mega SD? Well, in addition to being able to do what the Mega EverDrive does, this cart contains an FPGA that will function and take the place of the Sega CD. Yeah, this cartridge basically houses another console inside of it. It will allow you to run Sega Master System games, Genesis games, 32X games with the 32X attached, and Sega CD games. No need for the original Sega CD hardware, it's already built in. And that's what kind of made this the device that I always knew I needed. Convenience. Do you see where my Mega SG currently resides? There's no room to stick a Sega CD here. There just isn't. And what if there was? I'm gonna get up and change a CD every time I want to swap games. That means I have to get up off the couch, take the old disc out, put it back in its case, then get the new game out of its protective plastic, take the disc out, walk back over and boot it up. Or if I don't have it on the shelf, I'm resorting to my backup copies. No, I don't have time for any of that. So I've now got an FPGA Genesis paired with an FPGA Sega CD in the tiniest of footprints. And that's a huge enough win all by itself. I'm getting a little ahead of myself though. Let's take a look at how this actually arrived and what it came with. So this is obviously just the outer box. Here is the product box, which is nothing super fancy, but definitely serves its intended purpose. Opening that up, you'll find a cardboard insert very similar to how carts were packed back in the day. I saw a lot of this with my Super Nintendo games. And here's the card itself, which, as I pointed out on Instagram, is basically the Virtua Racing shell with a slot cut for your micro SD card, and then on the bottom there is a notch cut out as well. The Mega SD shell is also slightly translucent. Overall though, they are nearly identical. Also included is a foldable instruction manual, which you're going to want to take a look at before you get all crazy here. It tells you that you need to create a BIOS folder on the root of your micro SD card. You then of course drop BIOSes for the Sega CD consoles into this folder. I'd recommend grabbing a US, European, and Japanese BIOS to cover the various regions. If using this on a Mega SG like me, there are also some settings on the console you need to adjust. In the audio menu, you have to check Enable Cartridge and CD Audio, and then uncheck Automatically Enable CD Audio. On the Mega SD cart, you want to make sure that the Game Load Reset type is then set to Hard. And hey, while we're in the options, here's where you want to set your US, Euro, and Japanese BIOSes. BIOSes? You'll notice I have several in here for each region. Terra recommends using the 2C or the 2W versions. So with that out of the way, yeah, this runs Master System games, it runs Genesis games, it does run 32X games on original hardware with the 32X add-on, but we've seen all that done before, so let's just get to it. No nonsense here, this is the Mega SD booting and running Sega CD games, and man, was I in awe of this. Just pure FPGA, Sega CD at 1080p, and each game I tried looks glorious and plays amazing. And here we have Dragon Slayer, Mega SD FPGA CD FUCK. This game is still aggravating regardless of how it's run. This is for sure the authentic experience that I recall. Jesus. Now I've only had the unit a little over a week, but everything that I've tested out has been flawless. I really haven't had a single audio issue, crash, or anything really. Now I'm sure there are still some things out there and some issues that need addressed, and Terra is working on those via firmware updates, but so far it's been smooth sailing for me. A few more bright spots for this device. Like the EverDrive before it, this cart also serves as CD backup memory. I'm sure that's probably not a big surprise to any of you out there. There is an in-game menu you can pull up by pressing up and start, and from here you can reset or even reboot to the main Mega SD menu. You can also save and load save states for Sega Genesis games here. There are 8 slots per game, which should be more than enough for anyone. The cart also has a physical button on the side of it that can be used to pause Master System games or switch discs when playing a Sega CD title, and holding the button down will cause the unit to reset to the main Mega SD menu. Finally, there is an option to run Genesis games with enhanced audio, and this is similar to what is done on flash carts for Super Nintendo for the MSU titles. And it is something that I was unfortunately unable to test because I didn't have access to any such MD Plus titles, as they are called. I can assume that as this device grows in popularity, we'll begin seeing a growing collection of these types of games. Alright, so I've made it clear that there is a lot to love here, but what are some of the drawbacks? Well, price for one. At roughly $280 shipped to the US, it's not a simple impulse purchase. Consider though that the X7 EverDrive is about $180, and I do think that the addition of the Sega CD library and not having to buy CD hardware is worth the additional $100. The other drawback would be that the device still requires the 32X add-on in order to be serviceable for that library. I realize that integrating that is a large ask due to how the 32X is implemented in original hardware, but it would have been really awesome and the final definitive device ever needed had someone found a way to include integrated support for the 32X. Aside from those two things though, I really do think this is a fantastic product. It definitely comes at a price, but it is the current Cadillac of flash carts, and I think we will continue to see improvements via firmware updates as well as community support via the release of games with enhanced audio, now that there is a device dedicated for such titles. I know it sounds lazy, but truly the sheer convenience of this device, as I mentioned before, is a huge positive for me as well. I was only partly kidding about that. And yes, we all know about emulation and how you've been living the convenient life for years with your RetroPie. I have one as well, we're all aware. The concept of emulation versus real hardware and now FPGA will always be mutually exclusive ideas to me, and if you think otherwise, then this simply just isn't the product for you. But I am excited to see where companies like Analog and now Terra take us with reinventing legacy hardware via FPGA, and the Mr. project also continues to impress as a really cool community-driven project. These devices are all wonderful things from my perspective and are true enthusiast level options that are accurately preserving legacies from the 90s. With that said, it is no surprise that I think the Mega SG paired with the Mega SD is currently the most premium way to experience Sega's 16-bit library. So that is all for today, guys. Let me know what you think about this combo down in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will catch you all next time. Later, guys.